Hey, welcome to the Cigar Room Show. Hey, I want to just say how much I appreciate everyone out there and thank you so much for your continued support of the Cigar Room Show. You can find us on YouTube at the Cigar Room Show and on Facebook at the Cigar Room Show and also on Instagram at the Cigar Room Show. You can find the links in the bios of each page. I just appreciate all the subscribers and followers of each page. I can't do this without y'all support, so my continued appreciation will always be there. I want to give a shout out to Stock the Bar Premium Vodka. Stock the Bar Premium Vodka. I got on one of the shirts as well. Stock the Bar Premium Vodka. I like when I dress down. I always want to take that opportunity to showcase someone's brand, business, or service, or somebody that's doing something out there. And shout out their brand on anytime I'm dressing down. Cerebella Essentials, the best candles for all your general purpose, man cave, and cigar room needs. Cerebella Essentials. For those of you out there that haven't got an opportunity to have your hands on each one of these, definitely check them out. I can tell you for a fact, I needed this Cerebella Essentials candle and Stock the Bar Premium Vodka. I mix it up a little something here and Stock the Bar Premium Vodka, so definitely check them out. Black owned vodka. And right here in Michigan made. Cerebella Essentials, I can't thank you enough. So I want to get into it. Setting Boundaries Part 2. I want to dive into that a little bit more. Setting Boundaries Part 2. So I talked a little bit about it before, and I want to go a little bit further into depth of setting boundaries. I always wanted to talk first, talking about how setting boundaries, you don't want to get into it where it becomes you're cutting a lot of people off. Just that's what you're gonna do. No, even if when they make you upset about something, as soon as they make you upset about something, I'm setting a boundary, I'm cutting them off, or at a certain level. You know exactly what it is that you can deal with and what it is you could take. My thing I want to encourage you to do is set a boundary on just how much you're willing to deal with in certain situations. For instance, I'm a big believer in checks and balances. I think everything has gauges and parameters that you cannot cross. What are some of your things that you say, I can't do this much? So, a quick example. Let's just say you got $150 to your name until next week for you to get paid. Now, realistically, you probably know you have only $50 of that to spare because you need that other 100 to make it. Gas, eating, whatever it may be. Now, that's a low number, I know, but for just as an example purposes, you have $50 to spare. And the person that asks you all the time, that most of their conversations, when I say all the time, I'm saying that most of their conversations are around finances and asking you for some or how they need to get it from somewhere. That this person is incapable of out-earning their problem. They're showing you that over and over again, that they don't have any type of direction and focusing on their finances good enough that they out-earn their problem. That they continuously just need to beg and borrow to different people. Those kind of people are not ever really considerate of what you have to do. So you're aware of it. And you're also aware of their emotional response to it. They're going to get frustrated at you or anybody else that didn't give them what they needed in the moment. Because they live moment to moment. They don't really plan anything out. You know these kind of people. They don't really plan anything out. They don't really lay out a real agenda for themselves that's really considerate enough where it could be responsible in their life. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to do this tomorrow. You know those people. You have to start setting boundaries dealing with those people. Now, because a lot of people are close enough to you to ask you for something, to ask you for your last $50 that you actually can potentially spare, where it's actually just money that it wouldn't hurt you if you spent it, like whatever it may be on. You have to limit how you deal with those people in a way where it still protects you. You can't always go around just caring about everybody else's feelings they'll take from you. They'll take it for granted. Majority of people will take you for granted in that regard. So, in that situation, as soon as they get to talking about it, you need to start being realistic with your situation. I don't have a lot myself. I'm trying to make it too. You need to start having some of that context of conversation, because and protect yourself. Jump right out there. Hey, I'm trying to make something too. Because they might tell you their sob story initially, or they might come right out and ask you. And you be realistic with yourself. Because listen, if you gave your spare money every time you had it available, you're not going to out-earn your problem either. You got to start setting boundaries. Start setting boundaries on yourself. You know a lot of times what it's going to do to you if you go beyond a certain measure every time. So, hey, look, I probably shouldn't go out as much this month. I probably shouldn't eat at different places, restaurants. I should probably cook more, make some decent quick meals for myself. It's a give and take, a sacrifice, setting boundaries. Now, those are some of the more less complicated things, if you will. Setting boundaries on people's access to you. Oh, man. Dealing with people, whether you're dating them, even if you're with them, you're in a whole full-blown relationship. Setting boundaries. I'm about to get into a little bit of a meat of things here. I don't try to delve too much into this yet, but I'm going to get a little bit into it. You have to start letting people that care about you and you care about them. You have to start setting boundaries with those people at certain points. Because they'll look at you and say, you didn't say anything last time. You didn't say anything before. You're blowing up. You're tripping. You're too emotional. You're too hypersensitive. All these different words that make it seem like it's just you feeling like this. So you'll constantly go reach out to a biased party and say all the different things that you're feeling, and they'll agree with you. But it doesn't change anything in your actual world that you're living in with this issue. It doesn't change anything. You have to start setting boundaries. You have to start setting the standard. You got to start questioning who I'm dealing with. Do I have that kind of relationship that I can have this conversation with? That they're being selfish. But setting boundaries is because a lot of people just don't know when enough is enough. Even you yourself. In different times, maybe you don't know when enough is enough. There's no reason to keep taking from somebody because you can. And it looks like a comfortable space. But if you're on the other end of that, man, it's not ever a fulfilling moment really for you. You constantly giving, constantly just distributing. And a lot of times you really aren't supposed to. You're really hurting yourself by doing so. I'm speaking specifically to those kind of people where you're constantly giving to someone and taking from yourself, and you're finding yourself with a void constantly, frustrated constantly. It's because you're not setting boundaries. Setting boundaries also goes hand in hand with setting a new standard for yourself. Knowing, hey, this is what I'm willing to deal with and what I'm not willing to deal with. Some of you deal with that on a daily basis. I know I have. Or you find yourself dealing with someone who will keep taking you for granted. And you'll hear from people, everybody go through something, everybody deals with something, and all these different reasonings and justifications. There's no reason to keep justifying things that keep leaving you in a bad space. There's no reason to keep justifying that behavior. Set a boundary and set a new standard for yourself. I'm not going to deal with this. I'm not going to keep compensating for this void in my life, for this person. It's unnecessary. A lot of you need to understand, like I did, Trust me, I had to understand this. Your worth is gonna always take a hit when you constantly have to justify or compensate for someone. It's gonna always take a hit. You could tell yourself your worth all day. You could tell yourself your worth all the time. But if you don't start setting boundaries, it'll never ever be understood what your worth is. All your worth will be just in profession. It won't be at all something that actually is solid. No one will really understand that. You know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, I'll explain it even further. There are certain people, you know they don't play that. There are certain people that you know it's only so much they gonna deal with from you, and nope, I'm good. You know it's only so much you can get away with certain people. And at that point, they gonna cut you. They gonna either cut off into you or cut you off. One or the other is gonna happen. Those kind of people. At a certain point, you develop a character where maybe you've been nothing but a nice person to people. And it will be a shock to your system as well as theirs that if you stand up for yourself in a way where you cut them off or cut off into them. So you have to do it in increments. That's a safe way. Some people, hey, rip the Band-Aid off. I get it, if that's what you want to do. But certain people, you try to do it in increments. I would say that I had to do that at one point in time. You have to do it in increments. Because going to an extremity that quick can be disastrous. So you have to do it in increments. That way it helps you, and that way it saves you from a more disastrous situation, because you might find yourself apologizing to someone for something you're really not that wrong about, but it's kind of a natural feeling for you. So setting boundaries can happen in increments. Creating a new standard can happen in increments. So don't keep giving yourself to, I'm just going to have an attitude to fly off the handle and get frustrated, or constantly got to explain your position and why you don't like what's happening. And I'll do it in increments. Start to get more strategic about your life. Nobody understands you the way you understand you a lot of times, unless you get with a professional, which by all means, if you have to get with a professional and talk to somebody who can help you psychologically and help you get through those things and help you bridge some of those different times in your life where you were at this space and you need to get to this space, please talk to a professional. Please talk to someone that's going to truly have the intention on helping you. Don't entertain too many biased parties. That's not setting a new standard for you. And it's definitely not setting a boundary for you. It's just letting you sit where you currently are. It's not doing anything progressive for you. And by all means, I'm trying to speak to the people who are trying to be progressive about their current situation. Talk to someone who really can help you. There's a lot of people out here who do this for a living. There's a lot of people out here who do this on the love. They just want to help people. Find those people that are gonna and be honest with them. Be transparent. And be honest with yourself. Maybe you're a little still hypersensitive about a lot of things because of what you've been through. There's no reason for you to build walls for people that didn't create them. Because you didn't set a boundary with somebody else, so when someone else comes in your life who's trying to care about you, trying to be there for you, you neglect them. You push them back. Hey, look, it's not their fault. It's not their fault that you didn't set a boundary. It's not their fault that your judgment was not in a good space at the time. Be willing to work with people. You got to take responsibility for your life. You have to. You have to. The 30-year-old version of you got to do that, because the 40-year-old version of you is counting on it. Because that version of you needs to be at a different space and place, because that person is going to probably break the mold. It's probably going to do something just your family, your loved ones, you have never seen before. And don't think when you get today, oh, maybe it's too late for me to do this. No, it's not. It's as long as you breathing and seeing, able to do different things, you can always draw a line in the sand. Because there's people who don't, they a lot of times say you complain about walking till you meet the man with no feet. And then you meet someone who's in a different space and place than you, and they didn't have the resources and or health or ability that you have. Try not to be so complacent. Don't complain so much. Check yourself. Maybe I'm not setting boundaries with somebody. Maybe I feel like that's my extension of love, because a lot of people haven't learned how to love someone or love someone the way that they are trying to love. And maybe that person ain't trying to let you in. You're trying to love them and they ain't trying to let you in. So they leave you in desperation. So when you do come across somebody, maybe that situation ends badly. And I'm not just talking about relationships as far as a companion, maybe how you cared about around somebody's family, somebody that's a friend of yours, whatever it may be, or any kind of relationships you have, business relationship. There's no reason for you to act so guarded with the next person. You may run them away. It's not a huge accolade because somebody survived you. It's not a huge accolade. It's not. It's a huge accolade when somebody actually can show and prove. Not because you created an obstacle course for them. Life alone is going to do that. Life alone is going to create its own obstacle courses for people. You don't have to, because you didn't check your judgment, because you didn't set boundaries, because you didn't set a new standard for yourself and what you wanted. Come on, if you don't know what you want from life, find it out. I need to know what my purpose is. I need to know what it. Listen. If you're not willing to take a stance and go try to do research on yourself and find out about yourself and understand how to deal with others, trust me, you'll always be in that place where you're just trying to figure it out. You're always just feeling yourself around, trying to see what's going to happen next. And life is happening to you instead of you doing things, taking more directive approach in life. Don't build walls for people that didn't help you create them. Just watch them show and prove. And if they can't, then you make sure you set a boundary. Okay, then you gradually have to not deal with this person or understand that maybe they're not there yet. But don't keep selling yourself short and saying, oh, I can't deal with this because this person isn't like this and they need to do this and they got to do all this striving to get to you. It's not, what? I'm going to be, this is my opinion, my honest opinion about that. Do you know how much I feel like our culture is setting themselves back by doing that? Constantly setting up walls for people and guarding and creating new obstacles for people because of what somebody else did to them. I've been hearing this whole saying, oh, hurt people hurt people. We constantly keep going around and around. We constantly want to just put up our guard. We don't want to let nobody in and constantly want to make somebody feel like they're inadequate or they're incompetent or the way they deal with you and I'm not easily impressed and all. Like, come on, man. You think that person deserved that? They don't deserve it any more than you didn't deserve the person before them treating you like that. How about that? They don't deserve it any more than that. You cannot do that to someone because you didn't set boundaries, because you didn't set a new standard. It's going to take you to work on you so that you can be better for whoever they are. whoever it may be, whatever kind of relationship, what kind of rapport. Listen, specifically to me, I had to become a better version of a man because I was not going to be a good father to my daughter. I had to become better. If I didn't become better, I can't be, well, I didn't grow up with a mother or father, which I didn't. I did not grow up with a mother or a father. I grew up with a variety of backgrounds and families. I say it took many villages to raise me. I didn't grow up with my mom or dad. I didn't get that opportunity, and it's not like, that made me. I knew right from wrong. I knew what felt good and what didn't. And when I had selfish, spiteful moments, I had to eventually check myself, or life checked me. Simple as that. I had to check myself, or life was going to do it. So I'm not going to place the blame on the doorstep of the way I was raised and all that. I had a very, very hard upbringing. For those that personally know me, know this. That doesn't change the fact that I need to do better for someone who I need to love correctly, because I wasn't loved right, so she don't deserve better love. Just because I didn't have the father in my life like that loved me, care about me, and be there for me, and be there to support me and care about me going in all my life, and whatever I was going through, I know I can rely on my father or mother. Just because I didn't have that does not mean that my daughter can't have that. She had nothing to do with that decision, and neither did I. I wasn't in control of that. But the things that I am in control of is being a better version of myself for her. Just because I ain't have an example of be knowing what a quality man is, and a communicative man, and a better companion, just because I didn't have that example, that means that I can't treat my woman right? Are you kidding me? That has nothing to do with that. Me being a quality man to her, doing what I'm supposed to do by her, despite any mistakes I've made and mistakes that we've made, anything that we've done, at the end of the day, we got to do what's best for us. We got to make it right. Whether or not if we've seen an example of it has nothing to do with us wanting better. It's all about, hey, listen, I'm going to set a boundary. I'm not going to go this far in disrespecting you. I'm not going to go this far and not being in communication with you. I need to set a boundary. This cannot happen. It can't continue. No, it stops here. This is the new standard. This is the new standard. Don't keep telling yourself that people this and people that, and I don't like people. Stop. A lot of people that I've heard, I'm gonna be real, a lot of people that I've heard say they don't like people, it's because they can't communicate with them well. And they can't control. Conversations and people that they can't control. They can't stand it. So they don't like people. They don't get their way with people, so they don't like people. That's most of people. I'm not saying all of them, but most of them, absolutely. Conversations and people they can't control, they don't like them. Yeah. And a lot of us have met those kind of people. But because they can't control the narrative, because they can't control anything that's happening day to day and action, they don't like it. Yeah. But if you yourself start to set a boundary, you yourself start to say, this is the new standard, that doesn't matter. They can keep doing that. You're going to have to make sure your life is good. We learned in these last couple years here. 2020 hit us like a brick. And a lot of people started to understand you had to be more secluded. You had to be within your own space. For a lot of people, it was a big reflection moment. A lot of people, it made them appreciate life a lot more. Checked a lot of us. Some people, it made you get in that space with that person who you're with and be in a closer space and realize how much you don't like this person. Because they're not evolving. because they want to stay in the same space. You know, I thought of an analogy. You know, when you throw out an anchor on a boat, I like boats. You throw out an anchor on a boat, it keeps you in your space. It holds you down in your space. And you get to enjoy the scenery wherever you're at, and or you can just fish and get whatever you're trying to get and reel it in. But that same anchor that held you down, if it stays there, it will keep you from going forward. It'll slow down your speed. It'll overwork your motor because you're trying to pull something. It's dragging. So the same thing that held you down can also hold you back. I thought about that. Now, I'm not saying that's the same analogy for everyone, but I thought about it in regards to different moments in my life. The same things, the same ways that held me down. Them times where I was guarded. Yeah, I was guarded so people couldn't come at me the way they wanted to and treat me any kind of way. So yeah, they didn't take advantage of me in that moment. But for the people that were trying to love me, care about me, be there for me, treat me with respect, the same thing that held me down, it also made it so that I couldn't move forward. Those times where I was secluded, those times where I didn't go around certain things and I stayed away, or I cut certain things off and I was cutting people off, cutting this person, not dealing with certain people. And hey, look, it kept me away from a selfish person, or it kept me away from a person that was toxic. It kept me away from a situation that was bad for me. That same thing that held me down also made it so that I couldn't move forward, because I couldn't get in new relationships. I couldn't build new rapports with people because I couldn't do it right, because I was still so concerned about whatever just happened. Why? Because I kept not setting a boundary. Listen, it's only so long I need this anchor to stay there. And after that, hey, listen, we got to move forward. Or I got to go back to wherever I was going. I got to move. I got to go. I can't stay anchored for too long. The same thing that holds you down could also hold you back. Think about it. Think about all the things you may have did to protect yourself. Think about all the things you did that you tried to say it was going to make it so that somebody couldn't use you the same way you were used before. And then look how it happened with a person who was actually just trying to care about you, just trying to treat you nice, and how you may have treated them. I know some people might think, hey, it's collateral damage. Some people might think, hey, life ain't fair. Yeah? It's not that life ain't fair, it's the people who are involved in it. The people that are actually making the decisions, they're not fair a lot. Most of the time, it's people who are not fair in life, let alone the random things that happen. Those random things we can't control, that's one thing. But people who are involved in selfish decision making, yeah, it's them. It's you. Everybody doesn't have to be collateral damage. There are people that are going to care about you. There's people going to treat you with respect. And there are certain people who will do both that don't even realize they're taking you for granted. They're just thinking to themselves, hey, I just appreciate every time you come through for me. And then you're handicapping them from actually being more self-sufficient. You're like, well, whoa, I didn't know it was like this. I'm sorry, I didn't know to ask you. Some of it make them check themselves. Like, I do need to do more. I do need to earn this problem. I do need to do more research and learn what it is that I need to be doing next, instead of constantly just counting on the people that's around me. I do need to grow up. Don't let the same things that held you down hold you back. And please, start setting boundaries for yourselves. Start making sure you set a new standard for yourself. It's so important. It's highly important. I just constantly think about that, like what it would mean to really take time to yourself and really think about some of the decisions that you're making, how it impacts you, how it impacts others. I'd say I want the best for everyone out there. I want you to have a great and influential life and have impact, man. I know our culture definitely needs it. Our culture constantly needs it, man. We having billionaires from entertainment. Nah. Man, shout out LeBron James. Entertainers, ballers that are billionaires from neighborhoods like that people in our culture grew up in. Man, that's fascinating. That's amazing. Don't let anybody take you for granted, but most of all, don't you take you for granted. I hope everyone out there has a blessed and prosperous week from the Cigar Room.